what we've got here with Bitcoin is a big move up, where Bitcoin has just absolutely smashed through a couple of resistance levels here. We've smashed through 63K. We've smashed through the entire 64K band. We've even smashed through 65. And right now, as we speak, we are topping out where we previously topped out only, and it wasn't that long ago, only 16, 17 days ago. So very interesting stuff in my opinion here. We're right back up to the same level. The big question is, do we get rejected and then this turns into a horrible situation, or do we break resistance? And then it's hard to argue against all-time highs at that point. It would be hard to argue that we won't get all-time highs at that point, in my opinion. And take a look at this chart right here, because this is Bitcoin's kind of descending channel, and there's a lot of different ways you can draw this. I'll show it to you in a couple different ways, but I like this one. It's been largely the same since the beginning. And, we've got a really nice kind of descending channel here. We've been respecting the lows very well. We've been respecting the highs very well. We got our kind of breakout here. What's interesting about these breakouts, right, if we kind of zoom in, is that, we started off with, kind of very small breakouts above, right? I mean, if we measure this is kind of, 2.5% up. On this occasion here, we're substantially higher than that. We're 4% up. But we're also getting more candles above the range, right? Take a look at this. Previously, we get 2 candles opening and closing above the range. Here, we're getting multiple candles, more than 2. And here, we're just outright spending like nearly a full day, basically, above the resistance level. And this time, we have the biggest, most convincing pump we've seen so far above the resistance level. Now, look, I don't validate breakouts until they validate themselves, right? I'm not going to jump the gun and say that this is a real breakout just because I'm liking the chart. That's really important. And by the way, the other things we're going to be discussing here are where Bitcoin could go if it sets all-time highs, how low it can drop if that doesn't happen, a look at traditional finance, and a bunch of other various really, really interesting things throughout this live stream. So I'm super, super pumped up for this one. And I hope that you are too as we come in here. But what I said about, kind of these breakouts substantiating, I think is really important. What I'm interested in is seeing if, generally, does it look like we're really trying to push this limit? And does it look like we're really trying to break out? And, if previously you're getting kind of a little tease like this, and then a bit more of a substantial one, and then a much more substantial one, and now just a full-on real breakout by the looks of it, to me, it looks brilliant. It looks very, very real. And I think that's a really important. And by the way, you could have done this the other way, right? I mean, previously you were getting very quick drops below, then it intensified. Clearly, first time it was just 1 wick. This time it was multiple wicks and an entire candle close. Then it eased up a little bit, and then it got a lot worse, and then it eased up a lot. So this story is a lot less consistent. Whether or not, this support level is going to hold. This story is a little bit more ambiguous, and I think it's easier to argue that this level will hold. But this one clearly does not want to hold. This level, clearly is a lot weaker for Bitcoin. Therefore, we're getting a breakout. So I think that really tells us a lot. Now, if we draw it differently, because, different people are drawing it differently. Most people, the reason they're drawing it differently is because they weren't looking at this chart pattern early. But I think this is a pretty decent way to draw it as well, right? I mean, there's a million ways to draw it, but what's abundantly clear is that we are seeing a real breakout now. Now, if we measure how high this one went, that was 2.3% above so far. We've gotten 1.7% above, so we're nowhere near where we want to be in terms of kind of substantiating this breakout, especially compared to the previous fake out. But again, I think what's really important is you start looking at the kind of gaps, right? The gaps between each of these attempts, and this is going to really tell you a lot about how strong this market is now. And you can already kind of tell where I'm going with this. Let me know in the live chat if you can kind of jump the gun here and tell me what I'm going to say. But between each of these highs, you're looking at 52 days and then 62 days and then only 16. And I think that tells us much more about this market than anything else. It shows us very, very clearly here, ladies and gents, that we are moving quicker back up to this resistance level now. And again, it's just finding all of these kind of hidden signs which are not actually that hidden at all, if you know what to look for, that tell us that this market is excited and this market is exhibiting the kind of body language of something that wants to move and something that wants to move aggressively. So I think that we're looking pretty sweet from that particular perspective. Those of you that are tuning in a little bit late, go ahead and rewind the stream because we were covering some really interesting questions at the very beginning, and I don't want you to miss that just because you are tuning in now. So that's super important. But let me show you a couple of interesting kind of takes in this space right now. Bear with while I pull this up. And if you are tuning in right now, ladies and gents, do me a favor and smash those likes up. I want to get this thing up to a very aggressive 500 like target in this live stream. I don't know if we're going to hit it, but I like to be ambitious. Because we have got some very, very spicy stuff to be covering today in this live stream. And here we've got another take on the same thing from Ash Crypto. Bitcoin has broken from the daily downtrend channel. All eyes on the 68k resistance. We're going to be covering which resistance level I'm interested in shortly in this live stream. I think 68k is valid. I think that we've got some other valid levels. We'll talk about that too. But clearly some very excited sentiment here on this price action for on Twitter. 4 days later and almost 10% up on Bitcoin. And we got that nice moving average bounce. We were actually looking at similar things on the weekly. If we take a look at this on the weekly, it's super interesting because we've had phenomenal support for Bitcoin here. And I don't think that we've, fully kind of substantiated this bounce just yet. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we've done really well. I don't know what's going on. Let me try and replay that. There we go. Oh yeah, I can't load the rest of the EMAs, but you can kind of imagine it's it's just going to look like a bunch more lines over here. We've clearly started to bounce off this level, so that's good. We need to bounce a lot further for this to really stick, in my opinion. But it is what it is. It's still looking pretty cool. We've got Vivek here. Bitcoin on exchanges hits a 5-year low. We know what's coming next. I love this on-chain analysis. This chart right here showing us a view. I'm just going to hide my camera so you can see this. Showing us a view of Bitcoin held on exchanges versus the price. And what's very clear is that a lot of Bitcoins have been coming off exchanges, since we started to top out over here. And this can be reversed pretty easily, right? I mean, this can easily go the other way. And people start moving their funds back onto exchanges. There's really nothing stopping that from happening, and it can happen really quickly as well. But it's still a good sign. It does mean that there's just less stuff that can be sold right now, and obviously this is going to be more of an indication that people have the intention of holding Bitcoin. And I think that's what's really important. By the way, the numbers are pretty big, right? I mean, not only are you seeing a very dramatic chart here, but, we started this thing off at like 3.3 million Bitcoin held on exchanges according to this chart, and it's now down to 2.5. As far as percentage drops go, this is pretty brutal. This is a big drop in Bitcoins being held on exchanges. And again, it's just another sign that, very few people in this market, or significantly fewer, have the intention of selling. And, if you're starting to move up, obviously you're going to be triggering the most basic, common kind of psychological thing in these markets, which is FOMO. And that, I think, is going to make a big difference for these markets. If we go ahead and take a look at the trading list I've got here on Twitter. And by the way, before we do that, let's check out sentiment, which dipped down to a low of 32 3 days ago. And now has recovered back into neutral territory, which is really, really good. We're going to have to see how this updates in 9 hours, but I like being neutral here. I think that's a really good sign. So we're going to be looking at that a little bit more throughout this stream. But let's bring it back here to Bitcoin. What I want to do is I want to just go ahead and refresh this page because I don't know why my indicators aren't working. And as we are just waiting for this to come back in, let me know any new viewers how you're feeling in terms of being bullish and bearish. I think we're still overwhelmingly bullish in this chat today. My $30,000 video put the fear in me, but I held strong. I mean, that's a bit of a silly sentiment, to be honest, because I don't know if you actually watched the video or not, but where's the video? I made a video talking about Bitcoin's kind of worst case scenario. Can Bitcoin ever drop below 30K? And it was an incredibly bullish video. I mean, it's got a red thumbnail, but no, we were just, look, if these things are putting fear in you, then really, you're just trading with too much money, and you're scared about what you're doing. So, don't, there's no point hurting yourself and putting yourself at a disadvantage. If just discussing a number is enough to scare somebody in these markets, then there's a number of things going wrong. And by the way, I would know this because I've been trading for over 7 years. I've been working with traders for a lot of time. We actually just wrapped up our first set of well, not just now, it was a little bit back, of users who are in our kind of very, very tailored one-to-one program, which you can get access to by contacting me directly on this link in the description. And we've made incredible results out of this program so far. I mean, it is, we're talking about huge losses avoided and huge profits made in these markets, the ones we're in right now. If you want to get access to the same kind of package, just reach out to me using this link here, and I will directly send you more information on it. But yeah, I think that's super, super cool. And again, one of the things that is very, very clear when I talk to people, whether it's in that situation or just here on stream, is that people get ridiculously scared over very minor things. And that's not good for you. It's going to compromise your decision making. This was a really bullish video. In fact, really the only thing I said is I don't think anything bad is going to happen. But even if something bad did happen, it wouldn't be bad. So I can't think of a more bullish, I don't actually know if there's anybody more bullish than me who also talks about the downside, because while I'm bullish, I'm not an idiot. Okay. And if I'm not an idiot, I have to check both perspectives. So look, I love you, dude. I think you're a cool guy, but, you got some serious issues, dude. If anything scares you, because if something scares you, put it this way, this is a really big deal. If something scares you, then you're at an inherent disadvantage to the guy who just, like me, who just doesn't get scared, and who just, executes on a plan, formulates plans properly, and just waits. You're gonna lose money to a dude like me 7-8 days a week. It's going to be very, very bad for you. So you want to put yourself in positions of strength, and most of the time the easiest way to do that is just to take money out of the market and regain your objectivity. You're probably not going to want to do that, but at least I told you what works. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Bearish bull trap to the end. We got a couple of people thinking that this is a bearish bull trap. I want to see a lot of sentiment like that, I want to see sentiment of people saying that this is manipulated, or this is bad, or this is not going to hold, because the more of that we have, basically the lower this number is going to be when it updates, and the lower this number is, the higher we go. That's kind of my perspective. And it's been very, very clear from the data too. So I'm quite happy with that perspective. Thanks for pushing us to 100 likes, by the way, ladies and gents, in this live stream. I do appreciate that. I don't know what's going on with YouTube's algorithm today, but yeah, it's we're just not reaching people like we usually do. We can try another stream later on today, but I got tons more to cover with you anyway before I wrap this one up. So we're still here for a minute. Let's take a look at Bitcoin's resistance levels. I think this is going to be one of the bigger things that are kind of worth talking about today in this live stream. And as far as resistance goes for Bitcoin here, we topped out here at about 66K, and I think that's a really important level for this market. If we're able to reach this level, because we haven't quite gotten there, and then break it, I think it should be a pretty easy, clean ride up to 71. I do think that there are kind of, interim support and resistance. I'm sorry. I think I just made a very loud sound. Sorry if that was loud. I think there could be some kind of more interim kind of, in between resistance levels. 68K is a very, very good resistance level for Bitcoin, very predictable 67, but it all kind of blurs into just being this box, which is why I haven't really spoken about those levels much over the last few weeks and months. I think, look, if we can get above this high, the other resistance levels are so close by that, it's just all going to count as the same block. If anything, I guess I could just expand this box, but the chart starts looking a little bit uglier, so I don't really want to do that. But I think you guys get the message, and that's the important part. So with that in mind, we clearly have resistance super close by. If we can get above it, like I said, I think 71 is going to be very much on the cards. This is a pretty clear kind of liquidity gap. We didn't really use it very well last time we entered it, but every time before that, the price moved pretty quickly. Even when we initially got above here for the first time ever, or I guess for the second time ever, it was a quick move up and down. But then when we kind of really got above it, we cleared this box up to this box within basically like 4 days. On the way down, it happened within 1 day, because all of this happened in 1 day on this one little wick right here. Let me zoom in on this and show you what I'm talking about. This one candle, you went all the way up and all the way down in 1 day, and presumably all the way up. I don't know in what order it happened, but clearly it happened quickly. And it's the same thing on the way down, right? On the way down, it literally took 1 day on this candle. And then on the way up again, 3 days to get to the top. So this is clearly between these two green boxes, clearly a zone where things happen quickly. And to me, it means that if you kind of look at this, within 1 day, you're all the way up, and then within 3 days, you're all the way down. On this occasion here, 3 days to get up, and what is this, like maybe 7 days to get down. It's quick. And so when you get into this range, I would expect quick price action for Bitcoin to get to the top. And we've also just been rejected here so many times at what I would argue is actually quite a meaningless resistance level. So I think that it also means we're poised to get substantially higher, far above 70k. Where that could go, I really don't know, but obviously round resistance levels like 75k make a lot of sense. Do you guys have any targets for tops? I'd love to know in the live chat. We'll talk about them in this live stream as well. We got Charlie Super G saying, if it stays above 78k, it's very positive. It would indeed be very positive. I think it would demonstrate a huge probability of Bitcoin setting all-time highs at that point. I think if Bitcoin can get above 68 and hold there for a day, I think that the chance of Bitcoin setting an all-time high becomes like 90%. Like super high, basically, a near guarantee. At the moment, I would probably put that probability at 65 to 70%. Maybe I'm a little bit optimistic there. My numbers might be a bit high, but that's how I feel. What would be my time frame for 75k? My top would be above 100k anyway. Yeah, I mean, realistically, we got 150k in the chat here from another viewer. Realistically, I think we're going far above 100k, right? So, 150, I would say is on the bottom end of reasonable. I think that, reasonable looks like kind of anywhere from 140 to 210, I would say. And I think reasonable is also realistic in this conversation. So I'm quite happy with 150 as a target overall. In answer to the original question I got at the beginning of the stream, that's kind of what I'd be looking at. But I mean, I'm not holding myself to that number at all. That's why I didn't give you a number at the beginning. I didn't want to be misleading about it. But yeah, that's what I would be happy with. But as far as kind of hitting 75k, I think that could happen the same day, that we hit 71k. I mean, if we're slow about it, maybe after 5 days, but I don't think it would take long. That's the bottom line. I think it would be very quick for something like that to happen. So I think that's a big deal. And by the way, guys, I do want to let you know, if we do end up kind of wrapping this live stream up early today, I'm going to be live again immediately if something goes on in the market. So just make sure that you are subscribed. So that you don't miss out on this content. It's going to be super time sensitive. And I don't just mean today, right? I'm talking any time of any day. If there's some shit going on, I'm probably going to be here on a live stream. Usually, I usually am, especially on the very big moves. So definitely make sure that you are subscribed with the bell icon checked so that you don't miss out on the content when it does come out. That's going to be absolutely huge stuff there. But like I said, I think this is kind of the resistance level. It's really just going to be breaking this high, right? The high is at about like 66.5 or so. I think it's going to be about breaking that high. And I think if Bitcoin can get above this high, then it's going to have a very easy time rising up by another, few $1,000s. But anything below this level, and we're kind of in double top territory. We're kind of in, resistance territory. We haven't actually fully done anything yet. We have gotten above some important resistance levels, right? I mean, we slipped below 60K and we recovered, and I think that's why we're coming back up now. But then we also broke 63, 64, 65. We broke all of them effortlessly, right? So that was really, really good as far as kind of positive signs can go in this market. I really like seeing that here. But yeah, we are still in this kind of double top territory. And if it ends up going wrong, I should say, even if it ends up going right, because it would be really nice. We got PW talking about the dollar index. We'll be looking at that in just a second. Bear with. I'm very excited to look at that with you all as well, of course. But if we kind of look at this, getting a little bit of a rejection here, I'm probably looking at, 63K for support. It's a pretty good support level. Look at this, how this level has been used as resistance and how it's been used as support, stretching back throughout a lot of this year. This has been a very, very important price level. Lots of stuff going on at this price level. So I would definitely be expecting a potential bounce off this level. And I think that would actually set this market very straight. It would put this market in a really... Oh my God. Sorry, I wasn't showing my screen. That's embarrassing. Hate doing that. But anyway, you didn't miss much. I was just talking about, these two kind of peaks. And I was saying that if we do kind of get a rejection, 63K, I'll just draw for you, the kind of points of interest around this market here. Some nice bounces, some nice rejections, just constantly going on in this market off this price level here. So I think that would be absolutely great for this market. By the way, guys, if I forget that, I haven't switched back to the normal screen, just tell me in the comments, because it might take me a while to figure it out sometimes. We have a CME gap at 54K. I'm not bothered about the CME gap at all. We have a CME gap at 9K as well. Did you know about that? How many of you guys knew that we have a CME gap at 9K? But yeah, I think I think if this does turn into a rejection, we got really solid support down here. We've also got solid support down at 60K. I mean, whatever. It wouldn't be amazing if we go back down there. That's kind of where we started, but it's something. It's okay if we do. We can even go down to 58. And as far as I'm concerned, we're still holding market structure. So, it's very hard to make me bearish on this chart. I've been saying this for many months even, not even weeks. I've been saying this for a while. And yeah, some of you didn't know about the 9K thing with CME. Yeah, there are so many. There's more CME gaps, by the way. Just go back and check it out. There might even be one around like 12K, I think, or 14. So yeah, there's tons of CME gaps. They don't necessarily get filled. I think that the reason you see CME gaps getting filled is because they're usually at price levels that Bitcoin would just naturally return to. But it has nothing to do with the CME gap. It's just people are seeing a correlation and then they are inferring causation. And that's not smart. So we want to make sure we're not doing that. Do I think that we need one more capitulation for some short squeeze and then push into the new cycle? No. Firmly no. We've been consolidating for over 7 months. We've had multiple serious events of capitulation. I think the argument that we need more is some sort of sadism, or machoism, whatever you call it, some sort of like people enjoying putting pain on themselves. I firmly believe that's not the case. That we need could we get another one? Sure, of course we could get another one. I just don't think it's likely, and I don't think it's needed at all. Even Kirby used to say that the gaps don't always fill. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, look, if there are kind of easy things in analysis that if you think that an idiot who is financially illiterate and doesn't have any skill or experience, if they can kind of attach to something and say, look, this is going to happen, we're going to fill the gap, or we're going to get that RSI reading or whatever, You know, if it looks like it's too easy in that way, then, you know, it's probably a crutch. In terms of analysis skills, it's probably something that people use as a crutch, as a substitute, as a supplement for real analysis skills. And if that is the case, then I don't want any of it. You know, I want to focus on being on the right side of things. And speaking of being on the right side of things, shout out to Indiana Jones. I've been on the right side many moons, bro. Love it. I love that comment, dude. Thank you. Very, very cool. Obviously, many moons is not a way that we speak usually colloquially, but I love that. I've gone ahead and pinned your comment. Thank you, Indiana Jones. I really appreciate it. Super nice of you to say that. And it's 100% true. We've been correct about so much in these markets this year, last year, the year before that. This is just what we do. If you do appreciate it, if you do enjoy it, double check that you've smashed up those likes and that you're subscribed to the channel. But let's continue on with with this analysis here and talk about the downside. Like I said, any of these green zones here, 63K, 60K, 58K, very, very nice levels for Bitcoin to bounce. If we do get rejected, I think 63K is most likely. But, you know, again, I'm not going to kind of hold my breath for that. We are just now, as we speak, starting to push a little bit higher. So let's see if we can kind of sweep that high at 66.2. If we can sweep that high, then we might even be sweeping the resistance level, the real resistance level, within the next few minutes. So this is going to be really interesting. We're going to be keeping locked here to see how this goes. I'm going to continue to take your questions. So definitely drop them in as we are going along. Gene is saying, I loved your last video on leverage, long-term follower, appreciate the content as always. You're very, very welcome, sir. Thank you very much. It was a very good video. It's this one right here, literally the most recent video, how to double your crypto in any market conditions. Obviously, we're using silly titles here because we're on YouTube, but you guys get the deal. Really, really cool video here. Super in-depth explanations of mechanics to do with trading. If you don't know this stuff, then, you know, I don't know what you do. This is the thing that really pisses me off about people trading, right? And I think it pisses me off because I was like this too. But a lot of people, they enter the game of trading and they're like, yeah, so I can make my money in a normal job and I can put 8 hours a day into it and a lot of effort and climb the corporate ladder and whatever, kiss my boss's ass. I don't know what it is. It's going to be different for different people. You know, but then they will also think, I can also trade, and if I trade, I can just buy a lottery ticket, close my eyes, and then get angry at somebody on Twitter if it doesn't work out. The real way to make money in these markets is to treat trading like it's any other profession, to treat trading like it's any other job, and that means learning it inside and out. That means getting properly trained on it, you know, and that's what our one-to-one program is about. It's about so much more than that. It's about so much more than just that one-to-one element. You know, and other courses that I've been selling or whatever, just anything. That's what it's all about. Because if you start treating it seriously, like it is a real profession, then all of a sudden what's going to happen is you're going to start getting a very broad, thorough, deep, broad and deep, both, understanding of the market, of how the market moves, how it works. And with that, you're just naturally going to feel more confident. It's really obvious. This applies to anything else. Apply it to your profession or anything else that you're good at, and you will understand that the more you know, the more you understand, and I mean truly understand, the better your performance will be throughout everything you do. So that's why a video like this is really interesting, even if you don't use tools like leverage, because this is actually a very common tool. It's used everywhere. You are probably very familiar with it if you have a mortgage, because it works in exactly the same way, minus the security, because the security on a mortgage is your house. Security meaning collateral meaning what the loan is based on. So I don't mean security in terms of like, you know, a password. It's different with trading. That's kind of the only difference. But yeah, well worth checking out to get that deep, thorough understanding. This live stream's not going anywhere. You can check that out now, and then come back here. But yeah, I think that's what I'm looking at there. Let's zoom out a little bit. We've spoken a little bit about what a rejection would look like and where I think Bitcoin can go if that happens. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin's dominance, which is doing very nicely, punching in higher lows throughout this situation here quite some time. I mean, as far back as we can scroll, obviously. I mean, it's been an uptrend for a while. But I hate sneezing on a stream. I don't know why. I know you guys probably wouldn't mind. I just don't like doing it. But nice, big, clear, lower, higher lows and higher highs kind of trend for Bitcoin's dominance. I believe this is going to continue, and if Bitcoin starts skyrocketing from here, I think it's going to pick up a lot. Thank you very much, Indiana Jones. And your names are so hard. Lou Beach. Little Jimmy is dancing on the tabletops, and Kirby isn't here to smack some sense into him. He'll come back, I'm sure. He'll come back eventually. Yeah, so that's the picture for Bitcoin's dominance. Let's look at traditional finance. We've got the S&P 500 shooting up here. Again, probably the single biggest reason that Bitcoin is doing well. The S&P 500 quite beautifully setting a new all-time high here. A nice big gap up, a nice big move up from the recent lows that the S&P 500 set just 2 weeks ago. It's up by 3%. Really, really nice setup here on this chart for the S&P 500, and I think that's definitely why. I think that's definitely why Bitcoin is looking good. Clearly, over the last weeks and months, Bitcoin has been performing well because of the S&P 500. Because when the S&P 500 is strong, that's when Bitcoin starts having a chance to move up, at least. And so earlier we were talking about some people kind of view correlations and they infer causation. I was saying how that's not smart. Now in this situation, it looks like that's what I'm doing. So I want to explain to you that the mechanics behind this, and the reason that I think it's very clear that the S&P 500 is causing Bitcoin's strength, is because if you get a very safe market, or in this case an index, which is making money, then you're going to feel confident and you're going to be willing to take a little bit more risk. And the way you take more risk if you're in the S&P 500 is you buy more stocks. Because you're in the indices market, so naturally you're going to be interested in the stock market. But if you're even more open to risk, if you're an even bigger risk taker, then you're actually going to be quite happy to take the risk in a market like Bitcoin. And that is truly what we see in these markets, ladies and gents. You'll see the S&P 500 being strong like this, but the reason that Bitcoin will be strong is because it's creating a better environment for risk takers. We see the same thing with Bitcoin, right? At the very beginning of this live stream, I got a question about, what runs for longer? Is it altcoins or Bitcoin? And I said that, altcoins will run after Bitcoin, typically. And I'm talking about the big run, right? Like I said, there's many small runs that happen. But we're not interested in the small ones. We want the big cash, right? That usually happens after Bitcoin has pumped, because it creates a really kind of positive environment where people want to take risk. So really important explanation there. I think it makes a big difference to the understanding of these markets for a lot of people. So that's why I like to talk about stuff like that. But S&P looking phenomenal. I think that's directly leading to strength for Bitcoin. And it doesn't look like this is going to stop anytime soon. It's only a Monday. This is the beginning of the week. This week could be the week where Bitcoin sets a brand new all-time high. I really wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if that's what happens here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. The dollar is dropping down a very, very little bit, which is good. It means that Bitcoin is moving up despite the dollar being strong. So that's interesting. I still think the dollar can come down. I've been saying that for some time. Could it go higher before that happens? Yeah, it probably could, but it looks like this is a bit of a reversal zone for the dollar anyway. I think this looks like a nice kind of zone for the dollar as well to top out. So that's like about 104. We'll see how that goes. I'll keep you guys updated. Obviously, we'll be live or making videos around stuff like that. If we do start to get to important levels like that. I want to take a quick look at Tesla stock, by the way. I did make a Tesla video. I asked you guys if I should make a Tesla video in one of my recent videos. And I did make a Tesla video. And I said that I think it's going to come down to a better entry level. And it looks like we're still kind of on path to do that. But that video only went to Twitter. So those of you who are not following me on Twitter, you would have missed that. But it's right here, and it's well worth checking out. This video may or may not be coming to YouTube. It still isn't on YouTube, and it was filmed 2 days ago. If you want more exclusive content from me, insightful stuff from me, and a bit of shit posting, then follow me on Twitter. It's always going to be the top link in the description. Twitter to me is a much more important platform than YouTube even, because of the beautiful pushes for free speech, which I really, really respect. Let's see what's going on with Twitter. Kamala proposes forgivable loans of up to 20K for black entrepreneurs. What the fuck? Is this real? That's insane. Do we know? I want to get like a vibe check from you guys right now on stream. Like, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about 20K forgivable loan? So basically free money. It's just a grant. It's just lottery. It's charity. But only for black entrepreneurs. How do you feel about that? That's fucking weird. But let's well, Kamala pandering with the race card. It's the only thing she has is the fucking race card, isn't it? Absolutely insane. Pretty racist if you ask me. Isn't that racist? It's weird that like for some people it's like a question. Is this racist? Because it's black people, right? Like maybe it's not racist because it's blacks. I think that's how people think. No, this is downright fucking crazy racist. Yeah, no, this is incredibly and this isn't going to do anything to help racial tensions, by the way, because all you're doing is creating more division. If you want equality, then fucking be equal. It's that simple. But anyway, let's carry on. Let's take a look at some more Bitcoin related stuff. We got XO here. Yeah, he's just talking about people that lost faith in Bitcoin when it dipped below 60. Expect super cycle to start anytime soon. Only a fool wasted his time waiting for 44K. Completely agree. Only a fool panic sold or took profits early. Completely agree. Only a fool will buy higher very soon. Well, we want them to buy higher. That's our exit liquidity. She's half Indian, half Irish. God knows where she's from, bro. She changes nationality or ethnicity, I should say. Like she changes policies. So it's hard to say. This is what happens when you believe in something. Manifest your destiny. All right, so we got this sentiment creeping up on Bitcoin now. We got some P&L pictures again. First time in a little bit that's going on. Clearly a bit of a celebratory vibe today on Twitter. Let's see if there's anything new just in the last couple of minutes. Bitcoin doing what it loves to do best, going higher when everyone gives up on it. Yeah, I mean, that is so true. That is so true. Very, very bullish sentiment here. I think we're going to have to watch this to see how this goes on. Nick, I'm pretty sure that'll be BS. You know what, dude? I think that's how people thought about 50% tax rates in the West. You know, because the United States, even every Western country, didn't used to have tax rates like this. And when they were proposed to go as high as 50% or higher, I think people would have said the same thing. I think they would have said that this sounds like bullshit. But then, you know, the government just went ahead and did it. So, you know, in my books, if someone says something crazy, you step in and you be like, yo, hang on a minute, what the fuck? You know, before something actually happens rather than after. Yeah, I think that's a really big deal. But Tesla analysis there, if you want to check it out, it's on Twitter. First link in the description. Go ahead and check that out if you haven't already. And let's continue looking at a couple of charts that I've got for you guys. Here's another look at the same descending channel, showing that we haven't quite gotten that breakout yet. We've kind of just only done it. It's a really good breakout. I mean, it's coming in such a beautiful point in the market. You know, we've got this nice horizontal level. It lines up with diagonal resistance. What that means is that basically in one go, in one shot, if we break this resistance level all at once, we are going to break multiple strong zones of resistance on the chart. And that's a really good sign because it means that there's nothing left to be worried about. So I'm absolutely loving this chart. And I think that this is actually a super interesting potential trade, which I'm going to be keeping an eye on as well. So that's the kind of trade that I'd be making only on the platforms linked below. If you want to trade on Bybit, that's obviously going to be the best exchange in the game for sure. They're going to give you up to $30,000 for free. And you can trade with that money. Any profits you generate are going to be yours to keep. Blowfin running similar deals, which are super cool as well. And they've also got this super cool promotion here, where, you know, depending on kind of what you deposit, you are getting tons of free cash. They've actually just changed it up a little bit on stream for you guys here. Take a look at this. You deposit 100 grand, you get 3k back, which you can trade with. Again, this is just free money you can trade with. If you double that, or if you lose it all, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you double it, you can withdraw it, so that's pretty cool. And it just depends on what you start trading with, what you deposit. So really cool. Always check your country's local laws and regulations before you check out any of these exchanges. We got Brian saying that he's voting for Trump. Crypto to Valhalla. There you go. Yeah, I think this is one of the more obvious elections, but hey, it's not my country, not my place to say. I never actually feel like elections are that important. You know, I'm always like, this is the illusion of choice, or you know, they're both shit. Like in the UK, you don't really have a choice. You know, it's like, you know, fast decline. You know, decline society quickly, or decline society very quickly. You don't really have like a choice, you know, and the policies are basically the same. I mean, we had the most socialist government I've ever seen, and it happened under the literal conservative government. So a lot of the time you don't have a choice, you know, but this time I think there's a big difference out there in the States. So yeah, but let's come back to the chart here, getting distracted. We've spoken about resistance. We've spoken about support. Let's take a look at some more of the bigger charts that I have for you guys. This is super interesting stuff here. We've got some potential targets, like $82,000. This is the span of our current descending channel, and so that's typically going to be the breakout amount. It's not typical, but it's, I mean, you know, it's a nice general rule and it works. So, you know, if that's the case, then $82,000 is going to be our kind of, you know, this range spans 26% at the beginning. So 26% up puts us at 82k. Totally reasonable. I wouldn't be surprised if we're there next week even. You know, we need to break the current resistance levels in front of us, but, you know, once that's done, if it's done, because nothing is guaranteed, I think it could be very quick to get up to a level like 82k. So that's pretty cool. We do have a warning though. And it is that we haven't moved up enough yet. We've been speaking about this. Here's another view of the same thing. We haven't really substantiated the breakout yet. You know, the way I drew it the second time for you guys, 2.5% up previously, so far only 1.7. I don't want to get too excited. I don't want to be celebrating prematurely at all. That's not what we're here to do, you know, and so it is worth kind of having that little sprinkle of caution. And if we do come back to the chart here for a more zoomed in view, this is a really nice trade opportunity, which I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for in this market. It's really something that I'd be interested in trading if Bitcoin can get above 66 to kind of trade a kind of rejection. And obviously just a view at some of the, trade a retest of old resistance turning into new support. And this is a view of how Bitcoin faked out previously. So some interesting stuff there. I've pretty much wrapped up most of what I want to cover in this live stream. Dave Park, that's why I voted reform. You know, I wanted to vote reform in the last general election. I didn't have a chance to vote, unfortunately, but it wouldn't have mattered because my constituency is never gonna go reform. I'm not a big fan of Farage, actually. I think he's a bit of a dickhead, but I think he's better than everybody else. I think Liz Truss is the best that the UK has gotten in my lifetime, and in you know, a generation back as well. But obviously the UK and the ruling classes, most importantly, did not want Liz Truss. She wasn't good for them. Liz Truss was actually going to fix the country, and we don't want that. No, they want people to stay poor. So they shut that down very quickly, dumped the markets, made it look like a disaster. Very unfair. I was actually, it was quite interesting to watch. I'm about to get cancelled if I keep talking. Maybe I should stop. Fuck it. It was very interesting to watch the machine shut her down. It was very interesting. I mean, you know, in the UK, it's clearly there. Best policy I had seen, just all free market stuff, lowering tax rates, everything that stimulates an economy. You know, and then the machine was like, no, we're not, you know, that's not going to happen. And just shut it down. But anyway, Not ready to get cancelled just yet, so we'll keep a lid on that for now. Watch, it's gonna come. There's gonna be like a sexual allegation now. So this is the standard playbook. This is how it goes. But that's okay. It's all being worn out a lot now. I think a lot of people are kind of getting used to these tricks. They treat trust poorly, IMO. They did, yeah. They were horrible to her. It was so bad. What's up, Ghost? Ghost, come here. Can you guys see him? Oh, he's too black. You can't see him. What's up, Ghost? Ghost. Ghost, up. Up. Nah, he doesn't want to come up. You guys wanted to see the dog earlier, and I never actually put him on stream. He's so black, Carmela's about to give him 20k. That's hilarious. Ghost, come here. Come here, Ghost. Come here. Nate. Ghost. Oh, there we go. That's Ghost. How you doing, sir? You alright? Yeah, he's very black. He's definitely getting the 20k, isn't he? You getting 20k, sir? You about to get paid by Carmela? That's hilarious. I can't believe it. I cannot believe. Yeah, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. I can't believe what I read. It must be false. It must be false. I got a lot of advice about, like, don't get a dog, you know? Like, people were telling me, like, people in my position often, you know, who travel a lot, who are busy, you know, they don't take good care of their dog, and, like, I don't know, I think I do pretty well, but crucially, it's not that much extra responsibility. I mean, this motherfucker is just like me. He needs, like, 1 or 2 super basic meals and water and a couple of walks, and he's happy. Like, that is literally me. I'm good, you know? Like, I can eat the same thing every day. I can be very monotonous. Just water, maybe a Coke, maybe a Red Bull, and basic food every day, and some walks, and I'm happy, you know? So this motherfucker's just like me. There's no problem having him in my life. It's actually one of the easier things I've ever dealt with, surprisingly. When am I starting my political channel? Well, that's what X is for. X is where I talk a lot more freely about what I think, and I really do kind of share my thoughts on stuff. You know, I mean, here I was commenting on the fancy suits, holding public office, and then signing missiles with a smile. This shit makes me so angry that this live stream is going to get explosive if I talk about it. They are some of the worst human beings I've ever seen in my life. And I cannot, I mean, look at this. I just can't believe it. They're actually signing missiles. I mean, how fucking out of touch must you be to celebrate death like this? I don't know. I don't know how their children could look at them. Here's an interesting one. This motherfucker in Rome. By the way, this shit's normal. Those of you that like are not in Europe, or haven't been in Europe recently, scenes like this are normal. I mean, you know, it's not everywhere. Realistically, you don't see this everywhere. You know, in some places it's a little bit more normal. But shit like this happens, just like crazy aggression. And I remember growing up in London, yeah, because I was born and raised in London, in the UK. My mom, and obviously, you know, by the way, some background, my heritage, yeah, is half Indian, half Pakistani. So I'm a brown guy, okay? I'm a brown British person. And it looks like any American city. I mean, I don't know. I don't think American cities are like this. Maybe like the worst American cities, but they're not really, you know, like, no, I don't know. I think Europe's potentially getting worse. I don't know. I haven't, you know, but that's my heritage, yeah. So we're, you know, like, I was born in the UK, my parents weren't. So I'm like the first generation born in the UK. And my mum used to tell me to behave even better when I'm in front of white people. Because it's Britain. Britain is a white country. Britain is for white people. It's for everybody. But first and foremost, it should be for natives. If you're going to take, I don't think you should take preference, but if you will, that's who you take preference for. You know, it's a white country. We entered it when it was still much more white. And it was just a case of, look, you're a little brown guy. don't be a fucking idiot. Don't be an idiot when you're in front of white people, despite me being born British. And I have to clarify, this is not about being inferior, right? I don't feel inferior to white people. Every single colored person I know does not feel inferior to white people. Every single one of them. But we still have an understanding that we're not in our native land. And there's a degree of respect that we should show in light of that, and it's not about being inferior. It's just about appreciating the opportunities that we have, respecting the natives, and having a chance at these opportunities. So, politics, you're going to find it on my Twitter. So that's it's based mom. Absolutely. I mean, back when I was growing up in the UK, in the 2000s and the 2010s, the UK was still a place with racism. There was still racism in the UK. I experienced it a little bit, not that much. It was kind of tapering off, and obviously, if you're in a big city like London, it's, London's like basically all brown now. You don't find white people in London. So I haven't been to the hood in America. Well, no, I haven't, and I don't know how much of America is hood. I've been to Compton without knowing I was in Compton. That was funny. But yeah, I haven't really been to many hoods, I guess. Is Bybit legit and safe? Bybit is the most legit platform I've come across. I'm super biased. I mean, I've been working with them for years, but I think they're phenomenal. I think it would be hard to find a better exchange. But look, if you got a concern about something being legit, whether it's Bybit or not, don't use it. There's tons of exchanges out there. I say bottom line, as long as they let you withdraw your money, then fuck it. You can use anything you like, right? So check out videos of Oakland, California. It looks like a shanty town from South Africa or South America. I'm sorry, from South America or Africa. I have seen videos of Oakland, but I've also heard that they're cleaning it up. And I heard that there was a big change after the Californian president arrived, being, of course, Xi Jinping. When he arrived, there was a big cleanup. So they did clean up for California's president, and I've heard that it stayed a little bit cleaner afterwards. So that's interesting. But there you go, ladies and gents. I think I'm pretty much wrapped up here. If you have enjoyed this one, you know what to do. Smash up those likes. Check that you've subscribed. Tick the bell. Do all that good stuff. If you want to use any of the platforms I talk about, always check your laws first, just to make sure you are allowed to do so, and then you get huge bonuses if you do. So that's super cool. America has different immigration issues. We have to deal with the cartel, but not the immigrants Europe has to deal with. It seems like you get a bit of everything, Peter, don't you? It seems like you get a bit of everything. And it's weird, right? Because we get like a lot of drugs in Europe too, but we don't have like cartel activity in the same way. It's just like, I don't know, like an Eastern European gang or a British gang, oftentimes it's also native gangs. But cartel, that's different, isn't it? So maybe it's the guns, I don't know. Thanks for the live stream. Hit up the likes, people. Thank you very much, Mitch. Yeah, I'm pretty much wrapped up here, ladies and gents. If you got any final questions, let me know now, and I'll take them. But otherwise, I'm probably going to be heading off, get myself something to eat, and I'll be back here, like I said, if there's some more price action. So not to worry. We'll cover stuff if the market starts heating up. Yeah, there you go. So thank you all for tuning in, and if there are no final questions, CRO chart. CRO. What's going on with them? Because they had that SEC action, didn't they? And they're moving up a little bit. Looks like another boring chart with nothing interesting. Yeah. It's even more boring than I thought. What can you say about this chart? It's at support. That's all I can say. It's at support. Maybe it bounces. If it doesn't bounce, big trouble. If it does bounce, maybe it goes up a lot. I don't know. These coins are at the mercy of Bitcoin. There's no point. I'm in the hood in Nodak. I don't know where Nodak is. Dumpster living, people dressing down, streetcars, and a shooting every 2 to 3 months. Oh, just joking. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm struggling to trust this pump. What's making you struggle to trust it? And it's fine if you struggle to trust it, by the way. Completely fine. It is completely fine to struggle to trust it. bcash? I'm not looking at bcash. I don't actually want to look at altcoins right now. I don't think it's don't think it's super important. But yeah, I think I'm going to close this one off. So thank you all for tuning in. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.